All right. I want to start out by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachak Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of today's lesson is Words of the Wise are heard in quiet, and you will own nothing. And pretty much, this is something I was thinking about yesterday. Um, and, I'm listening, you listen to world events, things that are happening now in the news, things that people are saying that know what's going on, things that insiders are saying. And there's this one woman in the WEF, World Economic Forum, that said that they plan on making everything digital so that every transaction pretty much can be tracked, something along those lines. And we've been saying about the MOTB is the C to the A to the I to the P, the Charagma. We've been saying that they're getting ready to get rid of the FRNs. Martial law is coming. Jacob's trouble's coming. The concentration camps are coming. Bad times are coming. The famines are coming, so on and so forth. But when we were saying it, people were scoffing at it, laughing at it, talking shit about us. But now that you have Edomites saying that, people are paying more close attention. Because when Jake does that, that pretty much gives an indication of who they really trust and who their God really is. And for the most part, a lot of these Jakes out here, their God is Esau, the so-called white man, so you could understand. And that's pretty much who they venerate and listen to. Whatever masters say, that's what they're going to do. They in that Steven mentality from the movie The Django. The J silent or the D silent. All right. And, part of you gets upset sometimes, but we understand that that's the way it's supposed to go. And I wanted to read a couple of precepts based off of that. And also the statement that I believe it was Cotton Swab. That's what Elder, up and coming Elder Amawanga Bar calls him. Klaus Schwab said that you will own nothing and be happy. I believe he's the one that said it, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's gonna deal with kind of both of those topics. But I'm gonna read this precept that the brother put up on the comment section. Psalms 27 and 9, 7th verse and the 9th verse. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of our Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, our power. Save Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Let the King hear us when we call. And that's beautiful precept, and that's a beautiful sentiment to have, especially in these times, because you have a lot of people out here losing it because they have no stability, no mental stability, because all they see is what they see here, the here and now, what's in front of their face, the situations that they're faced with, the things that they're, going through, and that's why they're losing it. You have people, doing videos about the current conditions and the hardships and all of that. And for years, we've been saying that the reason why Jake is going through hardships is because of the curses. But nobody listens to the prophets. Lord's will, Lord's will I be one of the prophets, one of the men of the Lord, but nobody listens to the prophets. They didn't listen to them before. Remember this, Lord said that he sent the prophets B time, and they didn't hear the prophets, which means that they reject the counsel of the Most High himself. So what's going to happen when calamity falls upon them? They're going to be caught in a quagmire, which is pretty much quicksand. They're not going to know which way to go. So let's go to this first precept, because the words of the wise, the lesson is the words of the wise are heard in quiet. So let's deal with that topic first. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse, I'm going to start at 13. The point is, this pretty much is pretty much like a parable that King Solomon was telling. It says, this is Ecclesiastes 9 and 13. This wisdom have I seen also under the sun, and it seemed great unto me. Because what you have to remember is that King Solomon, being a wise king endowed with much great knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. What a wise man does is once he learns, and knows, knowledge, wisdom, and has understanding, another thing that they do is they sit and observe things. They observe the weather, they observe the change, they observe trees, they observe plants, they observe, just the virtues of roots. Like the scriptures say, they observe the behavior of people, based off of the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that they have. They'll sit there and they'll look at people and observe them and see what these people are doing. And whatever these people are doing pretty much, tells you what level of mentality that person has based off of their moves, the things that they do, the things that they eat, the conversations that they have. You see? So that is a mark of wisdom. That's why it says, stay yourselves in wonder. Because once you learn this truth, you have to wonder, about it. You have to look in the world to see what's going on, to be able to filter it through the scriptures to get a better understanding, a better picture of what's really happening, right? So it goes on to say, there was a little city and few men within it, and there came a great king against it and besieged it and built great bulwarks against it. So this is a small city, very few people, and it was being besieged by a great king, by somebody that had, the ability to take anyone down, right? Now there was found in it, meaning in this city, a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city, because he gave them the proper instructions in wisdom of what to do to be able to be delivered from this particular king. So him by his wisdom delivered the city, but remember, he was poor. It says, yet no man remembered that same poor man. And this can be applied also to the prophets. The prophets are out there speaking and teaching in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai through the Holy Spirit, Ruach Kudash. And they're warning the people of what's coming. And they're giving them the necessary tools mentally to strengthen them for the times to come. But Jake out here rejects that. And when something that the prophets say happens, right, now everybody's an expert at it. Like one time we were speaking of, the scriptures speak about rape. There's different types of rape in the scriptures, different scenarios of what to do if this happens, if that happens, this occurs, so on and so forth. But now, and back then, we caught all kind of smoke from that. We caught all kind of hell from that. On YouTube, the people talking shit about us, calling us rapists, pedophiles, all this stuff. Then you had brothers that caught hell from their women because of that whole situation. And other in a myriad of things that happen that brothers don't even speak about. And I don't want to speak about it because I don't want to tell, brothers business, because they suffered for righteousness' sake. Right? But now all of a sudden, 9-10 years later, when there's no repercussion, or should I say, what's a better word? There's no lashback. There's no persecution for speaking about this. Now everybody's a goddamn expert in the rape issue. Now everybody wants to open their mouth and speak up. But when it wasn't popular, nobody wanted to talk about it. Everybody wanted to keep their mouth shut. They wanted to stay in their lane. They wanted to be PC. And we were in the heat of the battle, the thick of the battle, in the hottest part of the battle, dealing with this. And these other dudes, they was in the shadows, hiding, under Pepsi cans, and open, roasted tomato cans, in the shadows, in the alleys, talking shit about us. But now all of a sudden, fast forward to 19 years later, now everybody's a goddamn expert in breaking down the whole rape issue. And then they got a nerve to say, well, I don't see the problem with it. I don't see why, people don't get it. But this is the true, you know, uh, definition of a wise man's words are heard in quiet. Because when it wasn't popular, nobody was riding with it. Everybody was against it. But now that it's popular, everybody wants to ride with it. Just like when Noah was out there teaching that it was going to rain and the Lord was going to destroy the world by a flood, nobody wanted to ride with him. They ridiculed him. But when they got serious, when it started raining and the Lord closed the door and nobody could get in, and they started catching hell, being afflicted, and eventually drowned. That's when they wanted to take it serious. That's when everybody was an expert, But I'll quote the words of Elder Apostle Gabar, which he didn't originate the saying, but it's a popular saying that this is a thankless job, and it is, because the only time people get down with something like this is when it's popular, when Esau speaks about it. That's why it says that now there was found in it a poor wise man, and by his wisdom delivered the city, yet no man remembered that same poor man. Right. After the city was delivered, they didn't remember the old man. They just pretty much kicked him to the curb because they didn't need him anymore. It says, then said I, wisdom is better than strength. That's why it says wisdom is a defense. So wisdom is better than strength. Why? Because by wisdom, you are delivered. It has nothing to do with strength. It has nothing to do with ability, with the strength of your army, and none of that. It has to do with your relationship between Yahweh Bashem and Yahushai. You see? And that's where the deliverance comes from. It says, nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. That's right. His wisdom is despised and his words are not heard, just like they don't hear the words of the prophets. Now you got this lady saying that, this Edomite lady saying that, they plan on going digital so they can track everything. How many times have we been saying that through the Spirit? How many times have we said that? Over and over and over and over and over and over again. But I bet you now that the smoke is out of the way, there's no lashback, there's no ridicule, and everything is starting to happen. Watch how many of these dudes are going to become experts in the MOTB, the C to the H to the I to the P. Watch. And you're going to have your spin doctors like Bishop Nathaniel. I'm curious to see how he's going to spin into this one. How he's going to spin this story around, to say, well, no, I've always taught that the MOTB is the C to the H to the I to the P. I was just saying that back then they didn't have the technology for it. Watch how that devil spins out of this. At least the Lord humble his ass. So it goes on to say, the words of wise men are heard in quiet. Right. Because there's very few people that will listen to the words of the wise, that will acknowledge that this is a wise man, that will acknowledge the prophets. So it says the words of wise men are heard in quiet more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. Because a foolish thought, a foolish saying, a foolish thing will be extolled to the clouds. That's why you have these stupid challenges on TikTok and different other videos. People doing the same thing. Millions and billions of people doing the same shit. Stupid stuff. But how many people are really getting involved and really in the mindset of these end times and things that are coming, that have been taught out here by the prophets, the Hebrew Israelites, the prophets of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. How many? You have a few, but in comparison to Jake out there, not many. But let it be something stupid, something that's pretty much nonsense, and it'll get millions of views. It'll get tens of millions of views. It'll get all kind of, feedback and response videos, and all of that. These are things to consider. So the words of the wise are heard in quiet. So it goes on to say, wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroyeth much good. Yeah. So wisdom is better than weapons of war because wisdom delivereth. Remember, this man was poor. This man didn't have an army. He was very poor. But the wisdom that he had was priceless. Because this truth, these are the true riches. Like it says in Romans 11 chapter. You know, the depths of the riches of the Most High. How unsearchable are they? And past finding out. So the ones that are blessed to receive it should consider themselves blessed. Barakatah Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai for opening up our eyes to this truth and to what's really going on in the world, and to be able to accept it and not, ridicule it like the rest of these people out here do. It's a beautiful thing, man. Yeah, brother put fool is worse than death. Yeah, that should be a proverb in the kingdom to come. Fool is worse than death. That's a proverb. The new proverbs of the kingdom. Fool is worse than death. Oh man, we just read that one sinner destroyeth a lot or something like that. And then the last verse in Ecclesiastes 9. All right, so now let's go to Mark 6, because this is another precept that came to mind when I thought about, the words of the wise being heard in quiet, or, the truth that we're teaching not really being accepted by many. Because the scriptures say that wide is a gate that leadeth unto destruction, and many there be that go in thereat. But straight is a gate, and narrow is the way that leadeth unto life, and very few there be that find it. I just want to ask, is the sound okay? I mean, I haven't heard any complaints. I just want to make sure that the sound is okay. Because it's a little windy, but I don't know, for some reason last time it was windy. Okay, good. The water, brother, the water. All right, so now let's go to Mark 6. This is another precept that came to mind. And the funny thing about it is, when I was reading the red Bible that we have, that we told you brothers about, one of the precepts led me to Mark 6. And I was like, oh, wow, that's heavy. That's a spirit, because this is one of the scriptures I thought about, which shows you it's all connected. Mark 6:1. And he, meaning Yahushai, went out from thence and came into his own country, and his disciples followed him. Now, what you had to take away, there's a lot to take away from this, because this goes hand in hand with, I believe that's Luke 17, and also St. John, the 1st chapter, where it speaks about he came to his own, and his own accepted him not. That wasn't talking about the Jews, the Israelites. That was talking about the people of his country, where he was raised at, in Nazareth, and those, in that vicinity there, because his father was a carpenter. So his father was, him and his father, eventually when he came of age, were going around building things for people. So they knew. That's why I say, ain't this a carpenter's son? So that's what that scripture means. He came to his own received them not. And that's why I said there he could do no great miracles, because they didn't believe. But see, this is once again the spin doctors of plantation Christianity or Renaissance Christianity, putting a spin on the scripture without understanding. And then they say we cherry pick. The noive of them. Okay. So it says, and when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many hearing him were astonished, saying, from whence hath this man these things? And what wisdom is this which is given unto him, that even such mighty works are wrought by his hand? So they recognized the works. They saw the mighty deeds, the words that he was speaking, the wisdom that he was coming with, and they still questioned them. Which shows you that the words of the wise are heard in quiet. It says, "Is not this the carpenter's son?" I'm sorry, is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James and Joses and Judas and Judah and Simon with us? And they were offended at him. And this is why he couldn't teach them and couldn't, do great miracles among them. And that's what it means in St. John, the first chapter, where it says he came to his own and his own believed, his own accept. He came to his own received them not. But Yahweh said unto them, this is the point right here: a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country and among his own kin and in his own house. And this is why Jake don't take this serious, because it's coming from men that look like them. Now, if it comes from Esau, they'll extol it to the clouds. They'll believe it. They'll jump through hula hoops. They'll travel to the quasars to get the lost book of Quasarite. The Quasar Chronicles. The tropospheric notes. Of the chronicler Quasar. Chapter 1, verse 1, because of who it's coming from. But when it's coming from their own, they ain't accepting it. It says, and he could dare do no mighty work, save that he had laid his hand upon a few sick folk and healed them. And he marveled because of their unbelief, and he went round about the villages teaching. Yes, so he marveled at their unbelief. And he couldn't do very many miracles there because they didn't believe in him. Because as the title goes, the words of the wise are heard in quiet. And that's why they don't accept it. Now, the last precept I have on this particular topic is in the book of the Apocrypha. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 13th chapter. Ecclesiasticus 13. And let me just find the verse. Okay, I think I found it. Okay. Okay, so let's start here. This is Ecclesiasticus 13 and 21. It says, a rich man beginning to fall is held up of his friends, but a poor man being down is thrust also away by his friends, right? And that's the difference between the rich and the poor. So we represent the poor. We represent Lazarus. They represent the rich man. So when we speak things, it's kicked to the curb. We're kicked down, Just like if a rich man was to fall, his rich friends would help him up. Why? Because he's rich. But if a poor man falls, even his friends will forsake him. How many times does that happen? Jake, come into some money, and he has friends around him. He's spending money on them, buying them drinks and food and all that. Then all of a sudden, the money runs out. What happens? They all run out on him too. It'd be very rare that you may have one or two of those friends that'll still stick around, when he's not doing so good. All right. It says, verse 22, when a rich man is fallen, he hath many helpers. He speaketh things not to be spoken, and yet men justify him. Right. He'll say some straight BS, and people are justifying. Why? Because of his money. Yep. The brother said, old saying, when money done, friend done. That's right. That's like the bottom of the bucket falling out. One day you go to the and and the bottom of the bucket drop out. And Jake ain't shit, man. Oh Lord. It says the poor man slipped, and yet they rebuked him too. He spake wisely and could have no place. Why? Because he was poor. He didn't have a status. And that's the same way these people in the world view us. When they see us, look, they ain't got no status, they ain't go to college. What? Why are we listening to these fools? How many times must we check these fools? Even among the other camps, they look at us, strange and bugged out. But now that things are happening, now they scrambling sideways. They crab sidestepping. They're doing a crab sidestep dance. And wiggling, wiggle it just a little bit. To try to, save face. I'm gonna read that part again. I like that. And yet men justify him. The poor man slipped, and yet they rebuked him too. He spake wisely and could have no place, right? Because they didn't recognize him. It says, when a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue. And look what he saith. They extol it to the clouds. Oh yeah. Esau say something, and Jacob's, he'll run with it. Jake is extra, man. Jake is super everything. Everything Jake does is super, super. He becomes a Mo, he becomes a super Mo. He becomes a Sambo, he becomes a super Sambo. Is. And I ain't talking about super simple, inside joke. I'm talking about super Sambo. What fellow is this? It says, I'm sorry, and look what he saith, they extol it to the clouds. But if the poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this? Who the hell is this? Who the hell is this airhead? Forget you, inside joke. It says, but if the poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this? And if he stumble, they will help to overthrow him. Right. If he stumble, they try to kick him in the ass and make him fall faster. So that's just the point, that the words of the wise are heard in quiet. The Lord has been speaking in the cool of the day from the beginning of times, going all the way back to the garden, all the way into present day. What's today's date? I know it's June, but what's today's date? What is it? The 16th, 17th, the 17th, June 17, 2022. The year of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua turning up, and they still rejecting the prophets. It's nothing different, nothing new under the sun. This has been going on since the beginning of time. The Lord sends out his prophets. They speak the word. Jake is jacked up, and they still don't acknowledge. That's why the Lord said that there's a scripture, something along the lines of the Lord punished Jake, but they still don't acknowledge him. Something like that. I can't think of the quote, the actual quote. But they still don't look to the Most High as being the one that chastises them. All right. So now we're going to switch to the next part of the lesson, which is called "You Will Own Nothing." Your man Cotton Schwab. I believe he's the one that said it. If he didn't, please correct me on the comment board. But I believe it was Cotton Schwab that said it. You will own nothing and be happy. That's why they set up something called the UBI, Universal Basic Income, which is going to be what? Digital. So if you want to attain it, you have to accept the terms of the contract. Because and most people don't understand contracts because they're not lawyers. That's why you need lawyers, because lawyers understand the jargon of contracts. The devil is in the details. Let's go. Let me hold on. I gotta. Okay, so I want to hold on to this and this. Um, but let's get first deal with second Ezra. I'm sorry, Ecclesiastes 13:1. Because remember, he said you will own nothing and be happy. It says, he that toucheth pitch shall be defiled. Therewith, he that hath fellowship with a proud man shall be like unto him. Right, because like attracts like, and two walk together except they be agreed. When I think about like scripture like that, and this, I think about, this lyric, EPMD, I forgot what song it was. Parrish Smith said, that his father told him that if you hung out with 9 broke friends, you're bound to be the 10th one. And that is a profound saying, because like attracts like. That's another saying, you know? But it says, burden not thyself above thy power while thou livest, and have no fellowship with one that is mightier and richer than thyself. For together, for how agree the kettle and the earthen pot together? Right, because there's no agreement. It's going to be total difference, right? For if the one be smitten against the other, it shall be broken. It says, the rich man have done wrong. Here we go. And yet he threateneth with all. Right, here it is. You're dead wrong. Right, you done did all kind of dirt to the poor, but yet you still threaten them. But you're in the wrong. That's what the scriptures speak about, not to take a gift, not to wrestle judgment. If you have 2 parties coming together, one rich, one poor, and the poor man and the poor man did wrong, just because he's poor, you still have to charge him. But if the rich man did wrong because he gives you a gift, you can't turn a blind eye, because that's wicked. It said the poor is wronged, and he must entreat also. Right, here it is. You get done wrong, but you still have to entreat. You still have to cop a plea. You still have to beg. This is wickedness, man. It says, if thou be for his profit. Now listen good. If thou be for his profit, he will use thee. See? That's why you have to be weary of this devil. Scripture say, never trust thine enemy. For as the iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. But if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee. Right? Because these devils use you for their benefit. Like Gad would say back in the days, that Esau speaks with a forked tongue. The white man's words are lies, because they don't honor their words. There is no honor in them, whether it's in a contract or word of mouth. They do whatever the hell they want to do. They are not moral men. If you have anything, listen good. If you have anything, listen good. You will what? You will own nothing and be what? Be happy. It says, if you have anything, he will live with thee. Yea, he will make thee bear and will not be sorry for it. Meaning he going to take everything that you got. You will own nothing and be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Man, these damn devils ain't shit, man. All right, let's go real quick. We're going to read on, but let's go back. Let's go to Micah 2:1 now. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. What is this wickedness? These different, councils that they have of pushing their agenda forward. They had an agenda for 2020, and they accomplished it. They're 2.5 years into their agenda now, and they've spoke about it many moons ago. But then in 2019, I believe it was October 2019, is when they really sat down and hammered all of the fine print out, and then no sooner than 2020 came, about March, that's when they started, putting everything into effect. Here it is about 2.5 years, almost 2.5 years down the road, and pretty much their agenda is moving forward, but eventually the Lord is going to destroy them. So it says, when the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand, and that's what they're doing. They have the power in their hand to do these things because they control everything. Remember what Myram Shelbauer said: "Give me a control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws." And how? I'm sorry. And they covet fields. Yeah, don't you see? Kill Gates and others. Buying up land, farmland, and all that. Mysteriously, all of a sudden, all different type of granaries and different food sources, animals are mysteriously dying and burning up, and all kind of stuff is happening. It's systematic, man. Systematic, man. CF, controlled famine. It says, and they covet fields and take them by violence. Yeah, because once they put you in a quagmire, you don't comply. What's happened? They're gonna move in on you. They got the power, the military might. That's why we have to wait upon the Lord. The Lord said, "Wait ye upon me till I rise up to the prey." For the Most High's determination is to gather the nations that He may pour upon them His indignation, even all His fierce anger. Because there's nothing that we could do. These devils could wipe us out if they wanted to. If it had not been for the Lord Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, then we would have been done. They would have swallowed us up quick. But there's an invisible shield that's over the elect that is not allowing these devils to make them the moves that they want to make. Because if it were possible, they would destroy everyone, even the elect. They would deceive the elect and destroy the elect. But it's not possible. It says, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. So they coming through taking everything. The scriptures say they have more than heart could wish. So let's go from there. Let's go to Habakkuk 2. And then we can go back to Ecclesiasticus. Habakkuk 2 and 5. Matter of fact, I'm going to start at 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. Yeah, he's not a moral man. He was created to be the wicked. And the Lord created him such. And it's heavy because when you go back to the beginning with Adam and Eve, you had the same 360 degree of knowledge, or should I say 360 degrees of wickedness and righteousness. You had Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel. Cain was the wicked, Abel was the righteous. Then the flood came, destroyed the Cainites. Not Canaanites, Cainites. And destroyed all them other people back then. Only Noah and his family were saved. Then the whole earth was repopulated again. And Cain and Abel came again through a so-called black man and a so-called black woman named Isaac and Rebekah. And the twins' names, the fraternal twins' names were Jacob and Esau. Jacob was the righteous, Esau was the wicked. Jacob was Abel, Esau was Cain. And that's who's ruling right now. So his soul is not upright in him. They are estranged as soon as they be born from the womb, before they're even born, because the spirit that's in them is the spirit of a left-hand side energy. They are the sons and daughters of Satan on the earth. And Satan works for the Most High, all right? Remember, spiritual wickedness in high places. Here. It says, but the just shall live by his faith, right? And look, trust and believe, especially in these times. It's going to take all the faith that we have to endure these things that are coming. And it's only through the mercies of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua that we're going to make it through. Scripture say that the righteous shall scarcely be saved. I want you to meditate on that for a hot minute. The righteous shall scarcely be saved. So what manner of things are going to be happening on the earth? Yahushua said, if those days be not shortened, there shall no flesh be left to be saved. Habakkuk said it. Ezra's, Daniel, they were all troubled. They were all sick from fear of things that were coming. Because we're understanding even more and more now how this devastation is coming through the inventions of these devils and the things that they're doing, building these robots, and then they did a movie, Monsters of Man, I believe it's called. And the Monsters of Man, it was pretty much these 4 robots that they created to destroy certain people so that they could take over their land, but one of the robots went rogue. And that's what they're saying, that pretty much what they're tapping into is the left-hand energy. And they show you different movies of these robots because they've been planning on doing this. And how sometimes things don't go as they planned them. The creation turns against Dr. Frankenstein. So this technology that these devils have can cause a straight up devastation and destruction upon the earth. So let's read on. It says, yea, also, this is verse 5, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine. What is his wine? Those are his philosophies. His regulations, for lack of better words, for being a partaker in his world. Remember, these are the ungodly that prosper in the world, and this is the time of the world. So in order for anyone to function in this world, what happens? You have to conform to this devil, or you have to be divinely inspired by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and divinely protected by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai to resist and still be taken care of. But the majority of people are not on that list. Remember what Satan told Yahushai. He showed him all the kingdoms of the world. He said, all of this will I give to you and the power thereof, because it is given unto me, if you will bow down to me. Which means what? That you will have to accept Satan's ways. And Esau, their men, women, children, their father is Satan. And that's why the so-called elite, the international banking families, this is why they do the weird shit that they do, because they come from a left-hand energy. They don't come from the right-hand energy. And this is why when Jake first gets involved in that world, they're appalled at it for the most part, because everything goes against the moral principles of what we were taught and things that were pretty much in our spirit that we knew that was wrong. And even when Jake gets involved in the alphabet style, the alphabet people style, they know deep down in their heart that that's the wrong thing to do. But and that's why they used to do it in the closet. But because these devils made it something popular, now they're coming out with the boldness. Now they're the proud Sodom and Gomorrahs, pushing that, that lifestyle onto people, forcing people to, you can't speak against it, but they can force it on you. And this is why right now, I forget, there's I'm pretty sure other brothers saw it. There's an article I ran across, and I sent it to a few brothers, where it spoke about that, I forget if it says the schools that they want to have a trans representation in every school or every, I forget exactly how it's worded. If a brother know what I'm speaking about, Babakusha, if you could post it on a comment board, something along the lines of they want, I'm not sure if it's a representative in each of these schools or in each of these states or something like that, dealing with the alphabet people agenda. If a brother knows what I'm speaking about, Babakusha, if you could just Just write it. You know, you don't have to go get the article. If you could just write down, you know, um the what you call it, the headline of it. It says, he is a proud man, neither, and he's pushing that wine hard. That's why the scriptures call him that harlot, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, because they're everywhere. Who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, because they take everything. Transfer teacher in every school. Not so much as that, but pretty much there. It's like to have a representation in each one of these schools dealing with the whole alphabet people agenda. I believe, I wish Elder Yashawamba was on here, because I did send it to him, I believe. It's all good though, no big deal. But that just shows you that that's a part of that wine. All right, right. The trans movement, the trans, not the Trans Europe Express, but the transmission. But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Right, and that's what they're doing, because they're going into a they're going into a one world agenda. Let's see, brother put a D queen, a Dairy Queen for every school. Yes, Michigan AG reportedly dismisses concern over kids. You know, it's a drag. Bam, you didn't see that one coming, did you? Yeah, that's it right there. You know, a DQ for every school. these fucking these fucking Duncan queens. It says, shall not all these take up a parable against him? Yeah, because the nations are tired of you. But before we read that, let's go back to Ecclesiasticus 13, and let's see what verse we left off on. Because that was a heavy verse. You will own nothing. Right. The brother put supporting the T gene inclusion and G diversity in schools, a critical policy analysis. Yeah. Dairy Queen, that's right. You know, the DQs, man. Transformers more than meets that. Yeah, that's right. Hey, man, that song starting to make a lot more sense now. It's just like that song by Cameo. She's strange and I like it. Nice, I love that song, right? And then one day I'm sitting there listening to the lyrics, and this mother floater said, you know, like the invisible man and drag. I said, what wait, what? Huh? I try to go online to see if I could find the lyrics or find, you know, how they go into like breaking down what songs mean, and I couldn't find anything, you know? So I was like, oh snap. So then he goes on to say, she's strange and I like it. So he's talking about chicks with dicks, pretty much. What the hell are you talking about? Like he said, like the invisible man and drag. I'm like, yo, what the? So it just goes to show you, you know, if y'all don't believe me, go listen to the song. Unless I heard it wrong. But you know, hey, you gotta question these a dude that'll come out on stage with a goddamn glow in the dark, you know, cherry red jockstrap. You know what I'm saying? A plastic jockstrap dancing in front of people with that crazy ass haircut he had. Which all Jakes took that Cameo style after he Larry Blackman rocked that shit. You know? So yeah, go listen to the song. She's strange and I like it. And then he said that. He said like the invisible man in D. You know? So that I don't know. That don't sound right to me. But back then, that was my jam. You know, it's like, damn, this shit is hot. You know, I mean, that's when they came out with that album Candy, I believe, and that was the latest stuff. Elder Pascal Bar remembers them when they weren't so commercialized. All right, so going back to Ecclesiastes 13 and 5. Remember, You will own nothing and be happy. I believe that was Cotton Schwab that said that. It says, and remember, that was the up and coming elder Amawan Gabar that coined that phrase, not me. It says, if thou have anything, he will live with thee. Yea, he will make thee bear and will not be sorry for it. Because they boldly proclaiming that. You will own nothing and be happy. But what they don't tell you is that the devil is in the details, and they didn't tell you about the fine print. Yep, you'll get it. You'll get the UBI, the Universal Basic Income, but you have to insert the Harari juice under your skin so that you can be monitored. Because remember, the lady said that we want to make everything digital for the future. Pretty much, she's saying do away with cash so that every transaction can be tracked. And we've been saying that for how long? Through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shemal Shai? He said, I now hate Cameo. Damn. Now, that was my group too, man. There's a lot of stuff, I can't listen to anymore, man. Like I said, Johnny Gill was another one of, my favorites back then. But I can't listen to him, man, because every time I hear them songs, I'm thinking of him singing to Eddie Murphy and shit. You know what I'm saying? I can't, I can't. Oh, let me see. Apostle, I found it in room 123. She's elusive. You see like the invisible man and woo! And when you come to meet her, you'll never greet her, right? Yeah, because the scriptures say that even though that's a man, but the scriptures say that her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. Another one is what is that? Is that Proverbs? Just bear with me 1 second. This is a little off topic, but this is the perverseness that these devils are pushing out there. That wine. Let's see. Right. This is Proverbs 5 and 6. Least thou shouldest ponder the paths of life. Her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. Right. It's June. Grain of rice everywhere. Yep. It's June. Somebody should put a beat to that. All right. So let's get back. Salakit. All right. So it's Ecclesiastes 13 and 5. Again, I got to keep reading this because when I read this earlier, I was like, wow. I mean, everything is in the scriptures, and we know that. But it's just, getting to the intricate details. And there's a lot, there's millions of precepts. It's impossible to remember every last precept. And that's why we're a body. And it's a job of the reader when he's reading and that you have somebody speaking. I got a precept for you, especially if you know a brother is long-winded and just speaking without going to scriptures. You got to feed them with the scriptures. Everything you say, you got to feel, okay, boom, I got a precept for you, bro. Boom, hit that. Hit this, So Ecclesiastes, I got to read it one more time. Ecclesiastes 13 and 5. If thou have anything, he will live with thee. Yea, he will make thee bear and will not be sorry for it. Right. So pretty much you will own nothing and be happy. And so don't worry, be happy. It says, if he have need of thee, he will deceive thee. And that's what's going on right now, the great deception. We're in the last stages of the great deception. Because the great deception is going to be achieved by Esau to a certain degree by the control of food. Remember, control the food, control everything, Henry Kissinger. Control the food and control the people, Henry Kissinger. So, we're at the last stages of the great deception. And a lot of people are going to be deceived into accepting the MO to the TB, which is the C-hip, But eventually, once they get to a certain point, they're going to start to put people to death that don't accept it. How do we know that? Because the prophets and the elect of the nation of Israel some of them are going to be beheaded because they refuse to accept the MO to the TB. So that's how we know that eventually they're going to make it mandatory. Now it's voluntary, and they're deceiving people because they said, look, if you don't take this, you ain't gonna be able to eat, you or your family. And what you think most people are gonna do that don't have this truth, as a stronghold or as stability? Remember, they say knowing is half the battle, but understanding is the rest of it. And then once you have the knowledge and the wisdom and understanding, then the next step is what? To execute, meaning to put it into use. It says, if he have need of thee, he will deceive thee and will smile upon thee. And that's how these devils do it, man. They stick you with a dagger and smile while they're doing it. The deception is real, man. It says, and put thee in hope, because that's what they're doing. They're putting these people in hope. That's why it says that those that are escaped of Israel and of the house of Jacob will no more stay upon them that smote them. Because remember, in 2 Ezra 16, it says that they that consent unto them shall be had in derision. Because you're going to accept that, because he's going to give it to you with a smile, and you're going to turn to them for that hope. But then eventually what's going to happen is they're going to stick it to you. The man's going to stick it to you, because them horns, they coming out, man. He will speak thee fair and say, what wantest thou? No, we're leaving it up to you. What is it that you want? What do you prefer? It says, and he will shame thee by his meats. Until he have drawn thee twice or thrice. I'm sorry, let me read that again. And he will shame thee by his meats until he have drawn thee dry twice or thrice. Because remember, they came through 2020. They closed shit down. They bankrupted a lot of people. But you still have some people that got a little something, something. Until they coming through again now with what? With the inflation / hyperinflation, beginning of hyperinflation, or at the heels of hyperinflation, and they're wiping out more people's goods. So twice or thrice, he shall when he have drawn thee, let me read that again. And he will shame thee by his meats until he have drawn thee dry twice or thrice, and at the last he will laugh thee to scorn, because that's what they want. They're gonna let the horns out when they think, when eventually the whole, when they have everything in place. But what they don't understand is when they're about to eat, the Lord is going to rain the fury of his wrath upon them. Afterward, when he seeth thee, he will forsake thee and shake his head at thee. Like tisk, tisk, tisk. Sucks to be you. But remember, they're not coming truthfully. They're coming deceptively with that smile. Smiles like a baby, but bites like a gator. Inside joke. It says, beware that thou be not deceived and brought down in thy jollity. Right. Because all these jakes out here doing, man, is shucking and jiving, man. Shucking and jiving, yassa bossing, skinning their teeth, dancing to the tune of the devil. And eventually what's going to happen, the scriptures say, they that consent unto them shall be had in derision, because you're going to be caught right in the same trap that you're thinking that you're being wise by making a league with the devil. And the scriptures tell you not to make a league with them, not to stay upon them, not to make any covenants or agreements with them. But you're going to do it anyway. And then what did the Lord say? That your covenant with death shall be disannulled. Why? Because the Most High is going to let the horns of these devils fully come out. It says, if thou be invited of a mighty man, withdraw thyself, and so much the more will he invite thee. Press thou not upon him, lest thou be put back. Stand not far off, lest thou be forgotten. Affect not to be made equal unto him in talk, and believe not his many words. And this is Esau's power, is in his many words and his circumlocution. constantly talking and saying whatever they say until they, because pretty much what they're doing by speaking in circles is doing what? Putting you in a trance. Like you see that spinning thing, it keeps spinning around and spinning around and spinning around, and you're looking at it, and eventually, you know, you out of there. And that's what he's doing. He's speaking around in circles to hypnotize people. His words were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. It says, for with much communication will he tempt thee. Right. That's what they do. And smiling upon thee will get out thy secrets. It says, but cruelly he will lay up thy words and will not spare to do thee hurt and to put thee in prison, because that's ultimately what they want. Remember it says that they, that they matter of fact, let's get it. I can't think of the actual quote. It's in 2nd Ezra 16. Let's get it real quick. It's about a verse or two. 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 67. Behold, the Most High himself is a judge. Fear him, leave off from your sins, and forget your iniquities, to meddle no more with them forever. So shall the Most High lead you forth and deliver you from all trouble. Jacob's trouble is coming. And you saw the way that Snake Plissken, or Nate Plissken, Bishop Nathaniel, spun that whole thing. The oil can Harry spun that whole thing of Jacob's trouble. He was cold busted. And that whole thing was spun. And now he's saying, nope, Jacob's trouble is coming. I was just saying that back then, it wasn't really nothing happening. But now it's happening. You gotta be aware of these snakes, man. The same thing you did with Cornelius, way back from, what was that, 1996? And those councils, they were staunchly against us. They kicked us out. They didn't want to pray with us. We got kicked to the curb. Then they tried to come to the school in Connecticut to steal us away from Elder Apostle Tahar. And unbeknownst to them, that night, the Spirit had Apostle Tahar tell us, look, let's go on a Day of Atonement type fast in case we're wrong. Still taking it low, just to be on the safe side with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And they came down there, took them all kind of time to get down there. And then they rolled up in there trying to take the school, because that hot dog head dude that's in the spirit world now told them to come down, because Apostle Tahar never came down on a Sunday. If Apostle Tahar was there on a Sunday, it's because we were filming late Saturday night and they left early Sunday morning. Or he might have, been tired we might have been watching a fight after camp or whatever, and he might have slept, to the next day, just, get enough sleep to get on the road to go back home. But that particular day, he happened to be there because the Spirit had him come down. You got to watch these snakes. But now all of a sudden, he's teaching Cornelius as an Israelite, like he always been teaching it all along. Amazing. It says, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. Right. And that's what being idle, meaning IDLE, meaning without movement. And what? These concentration camps, detention centers, whatever you want to call them. So that's why it says back in I lost my spot over here. Ecclesiastes 13 and 12. But cruelly he will lay up thy words and will not spare to do thee hurt and to put thee in prison. Verse 13, observe and take good heed, for thou walkest in peril of thy overthrowing. So when you see these things happening in the world and the things that Esau's saying and speaking about, beware. Beware. Because it's only being done pretty much to overthrow the righteous, the Israelites. Because it says that there's going to be a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord, which are the Israelites. It says, when thou hearest these things, awake in thy sleep. In other words, don't be sleeping, on these devils. Love the Lord all thy life and call upon him for thy salvation. This is where our salvation lies. This is why the Lord, at one time, what scripture was that? In Amos, I believe it was. I was listening to that. I think it was Amos, yeah, where the Lord took his name away. But then it said that in Baruch, that in the land of our captivities, will we remember think upon the name of the Lord. Why? Because the Lord gave it back to us in order to be able to call upon him, because we're going to need that. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. And the Lord Yahweh Bashem Al Shai is our power. So it goes on to say, every beast loveth his like, and every man loveth his neighbor. All flesh consorteth according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like, right? Because eventually the nations are going to go back among themselves. What fellowship have the wolf with the lamb, or the sinner with the godly? What agreement is there between the hyena and the dog, and what peace between the rich and the poor? As the wild ass is the lion's prey in the wilderness, so the rich eat up the poor. As the proud hate humility, so doth the rich abhor the poor. Right. There's no in between. A rich man beginning to fall. Well, we read that already. So pretty much, this has been words of the wise are heard in quiet, and you will own nothing. And these are, the first one is a quote from the scripture, which shows you that the words of the wise are not going to be listened to, because they're not listening to the Most High. So if they're not listening to the Most High, how in the hell do you think they're going to listen to us? So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. And to the next time I say, Shalom.